out the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vane, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a new river thing. Virginia Tech fire, Radford pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as a valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big dog sports talk, lighten up the dark. He's got the scoop, faster than a sprint. Calling plays like a coach, every word's a hint. From the courts to the fields, the stories unfold. Rick's play-by-play, worth its weight in gold. With a laugh and a growl, he'll pull you in. Big Dog's podcast, let the games begin. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big Dog Sports Talk, lighten up the dark.
Hey, good morning, everybody. How are you? It's the Thursday edition of the program. That's why it says Thursday on the screen. As we get closer to the end of the week. Call us up. Well, text us up on the Professional Door Incorporated text line. Hit us up in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room as we broadcast live from our Family Fencing Studios here in Reiner. Good morning. Got a lot going on today. We got David Smith coming up here. Finish up or continue. I won't say finish up. We'll continue our NFL post-draft conversation. Andy Bitter from Tech Sideline. Get his take on everything that's occurred in Blacksburg. Alex Guerra from Radford Baseball will join us. Highlanders, we're taking the week off. It's exam week because this is it, man. Graduation this weekend down at Radford. Hard to believe. Then they head to Charlottesville for a doubleheader on Sunday, and then the big stretch run coming up in the Big South postseason. And then Dwight Vick. So we have got you full throttled covered here on a Thursday. Yeah. Good morning, Stephen. How are you? Good morning, Prometheus, you bringer of fire. Vic, how are you, man? Did he really? Mike Vrabel received a standing ovation at an event for season ticket holders. Really? Really? Well, there you go. Guess nothing is going to happen. Wow. Oh, is that official? So Saudi Arabia's public investment fund going to stop funding Live Golf after 2026. So see ya. Shocker. I remember saying it on the radio show. None of that made any sense. They were feeding billions of dollars into this as if golf all of a sudden was going to become this. I mean, it's obviously already a certain type of cultural status sport as it is. And for some reason, they thought that this sub tour with bad courses, with not every big star, was somehow going to recoup with all this prize money they were offering, that people were just going to follow and create their own live following. I said it when I don't know, it was about 5 years ago. I said, this is not going to last. There's no way you can just keep spending endless amounts of money, kind of like what we see in college athletics, and not getting any return. So I'm not shocked at all. So the PGA will join forces and everybody will get back on the tour and act like nothing ever happened. It needs to be unified. All right. So I'm not surprised. Yeah, the Big 12, that's a big deal. They've the conference as a whole has struck a deal with a private capital company, and it's going to deliver $12.5 million to the league office and $30 million credit line to each school. So you're seeing a corporation, probably, I'm guessing, led by Big 12 grads. And they are going to absolutely help fund pay for play for all the schools. We're going to see a lot more of that. What does LIV stand for, by the way? I could look it up, but I don't feel like it. Where's Morris? Morris, you're the golf guy. What does LIV stand for? I don't even remember. Never made any sense. It just never made any sense. There he is, from the old mill on the Blue Ridge Parkway to the sheet of Victoria Falls, falling water in Zimbabwe. BDST is live and can be watched in many ways. Support now for just $2.99. Thank you. Thank you, Morris. Although that it's great, people that are green, but I don't see that money until we get a certain amount of people. It's just there's always something that keeps you from, receiving any of that payout. So anyway, so yeah, we got a lot to talk about today. Okay, so there you go. We talked about this yesterday. Vrabel getting a standing ovation. So winning, I think Prometheus said it. See, they won, went to the Super Bowl again. They're not going to see nothing. There's no consequences for people's actions. There's no accountability anymore. And the good people, the people who try to do their job and the people who go to work and are honest, that they can be relied on and love what they do, those are the people that get targeted. So, yeah, that's unfortunately the way the world burns. And it is unfortunate. It really is. But that doesn't surprise me. Sadly, I'm not surprised. LIV is the Roman numeral for 54. Still searching. This is stupid. Yes, it is. How did that ever make sense to anyone? And how was that appealing to the casual fan or just scratch golfer gets out there, weekend warriors? You already have multimillionaires who grew up, for the most part, in a very high-income family, paying for lessons, the expensive equipment. And, I know what will attract more people. from the Saudi Arabians' perspective. Let's pour billions into this sport and let these guys even win even more money. Yeah. That'll make me want to watch. It's a relatively quiet night, though, in sports. I like the review here and see what makes sure nothing's popped up. Everything's just kind of, nothing really happened. Maybe NBA playoffs. Like I said, nothing really happened. So that's it. The Roman number for 54. That's it. What does that even mean? This was kind of like looking up the pickleball definition yesterday, which still makes absolutely zero sense. I mean, that was completely made up. It almost sounds like the wife of the couple who was coming up with this thought she must have liked pickles and thought it was a cute word and just threw it in there. Let's call it pickleball. I really think we should have called it strawberries ball. Strawberries. That's what Jordan wears. I love strawberries. Watch out for the heels in year 2. We're not messing around. That's all I got. 54, Greg Norman. Let's talk about this anymore. Hey, if you listened to the show 5 years ago, 4 years ago, we told you this was going to happen. Of course, this wasn't going to work. I mean, did it ever, even if you're the most adamant golfer and you love it and you try to watch, did it ever excite you to have another tour that made no sense? It was just guys leaving because of the amount of money that was being offered. I mean, there was no prestige to any of the events. They were all new events on courses that hadn't been played before. Right? So what is the draw? Are there to see certain big names going head to head and the competition's watered down on both sides? What was the draw ever to the Live Tour? For the trifecta, go do a deep dive on curling. So pickleball makes no sense. Live makes no sense. All right, we're going to do it. Why is it called curling? Oh, here we go. Curling is named for the curved curling motion that the heavy granite stones make as they rotate and glide across the ice toward the target. Players apply a slight spin to the stone, causing it to veer or curl left or right, which is used to navigate around other stones. All right, well, you know what? I understand that. That one makes sense. It might be stupid. The event itself might be stupid. Okay. At least they're describing something that kind of is the result of what they're doing. Kind of like rowing. Why is it called rowing? Because you're rowing. Okay. Always despised Live, and the most money makers on the PGA bought that BS. Yes, they did. How much more do you need? Yeah, it was just a cash grab. I mean, it's the same thing that we're complaining about now with college athletes, right? And these guys were already millionaires, living the plush life. So all it was just, okay. Well, no loyalty to the longtime standing PGA, which gave us our start and all the great players built over the many decades. No, none of that. This is like when guys were bolting back when the USFL started in the NFL for a lot less money. Was never going to work. Never made sense. And the Saudis are sitting around counting their losses today. Now, they're billionaires, so a loss to them is not nearly, when we go out and spend too much money on groceries. But still. Yeah, now those PGA players want back. That's true. And didn't a lot of them badmouth the leadership of the PGA and players? It's just self-awareness. All that money can't buy you self-awareness. Correct. They don't. Even Rory, they don't have any personality. There's nobody marketable in golf. We had one. We had the great. Okay, this is the way I've separated. I was talking about. It's weird. I was talking about this. Was it Monday? Somebody at work who's a big time golfer asking me about my pick on who's the favorite. Jack Nicklaus is the greatest of all time. Tiger Woods had the greatest 5-year span of all time, and Tiger Woods is the greatest personality, marketable personality in golf. So Tiger gets 2 out of the 3. And you know me, I was a massive, I've said it many times. It's why I was a massive Tiger Woods fan. Massive. It hasn't been the same. Just like NASCAR has not found any identity since Dale Earnhardt was tragically killed. Right? I mean, Jimmy Johnson went on a historic run, won, I don't know, race after race, championship after championship. No personality. You couldn't market Jimmy Johnson. I don't even know who the hell's the best driver now. Who knows, right? Because you don't see them anywhere, right? You see commercials that are made specifically for NASCAR events, right? But do you ever see any current NASCAR drivers anywhere? Do you just casually watching commercials or reading ads or online, or who's marketable? And why do you think they've struggled so badly? Same thing in golf. Who's marketable? Is Rory a marketable guy here in this country? What is he, Australian? Is that right? I mean, he's won back-to-back Masters. That's great. He seems like a good dude, but is he somebody that's going to make – it's like Major League Baseball doesn't do a whole lot to market, in this country anyway, Shohei Ohtani. He is the Michael Jordan of his country, and rightfully so. The biggest star to ever come out, and he might be one of the 5 greatest baseball players ever already. Rory is Scottish. Okay, I couldn't remember. So Rory is Scottish. Okay. Yeah. But there's just nothing there. It's the same thing with men's American tennis. And I think now that Serena Williams is retired and done, it might fall back into women's tennis, right? When's the last time we had a marketable male tennis player? And you remember, you and I growing up, most of you know, you go back, men's tennis was a big deal. We had some of the biggest personalities in all of sports in men's professional tennis. John McEnroe, obviously. Jimmy Connors. Remember Boris Becker? I mean, just during that era, Andre Agassi, he was all over the place. Nike stuff. He had that long hair, even though he was trying to just hide his pattern baldness. Andre Agassi was everywhere. Pete Sampras was a guy who was kind of quiet, but he did well when they marketed him. Then you got down into the Roger Federer era. He wasn't from America. You can make the argument he's the greatest player of all time too, but it didn't really take off, right? And Boris Becker had this, Chris, he had this great personality. And everybody, you know, he came across as kind of the bad guy, but he got along so well. He and McEnroe were really close, and he did so well in ads. They did a great job. It was almost like tennis You think about it. And I don't think I'm speaking out of line. Professional tennis, then on the men's side, I mean, you would see them as regularly as NFL players, Major League Baseball, NBA. I mean, there they were. Bjorn Borg and McEnroe did that great commercial together. You know, it was just a different time. And now, well, Nadal came kind of with Federer, and both are great. All right. I used to love watching their matches. But again, he's not marketable here anyway. We didn't really get all. But they had some classics. And then at the end, you know, Federer kind of faded out a little bit and Nadal took over. Now, I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you who's number one in the world in men's tennis right now. Another specialty sport, if you will. But they did a great job back in the day. Wimbledon on NBC with Dick Enberg and Bud Collins. Remember that? Chrissy Everett. She was great, by the way, as an analyst. Wimbledon was a big deal. Breakfast with Wimbledon. Remember that on NBC? For the men's championship. Always came on at 9 Eastern here because it was like in the afternoon in England. I echo that 100%. Shaquille O'Neal is unbelievable personality. He's good in everything he does commercial. You're right, T-Bird. Rory is Irish. Okay. Northern. I totally respect the guy. Never bought the live crap. Yeah, he stayed, didn't he? He was one that was a big proponent for the PGA. So we struggle to find the original nation of birth for Rory McIlroy. So he's Irish. I don't know why I had him in Australia. I won the Masters. Shrimp on the barbie. No, Rick. Sorry. If you can't laugh at yourself, you have no right to laugh at other people. That Rory McIlroy, what is he? Is he a German? No, Rick. No, it's not. Oh, okay. Thank the NRV Super Bowl 540-382-5525. We are going to have our bash there. Looking forward to that. We hope everybody can come out. Coach Elmo's going to be there. Jen's going to be there. We're going to get Burnup out there. Maybe Rolf. Date TBA 382-5525. Reserve your lanes for the weekend today. Lawson's Mobile Home Supply. James Lawson's been doing it since 1997. They have parts for your plumbing, your windows, you name it. You need it for your home. Go see James. 300 North Franklin Street in Christiansburg. Yeah, he's a great golfer, yeah. But does he encapsulate any part of the marketing in this country? The answer is no. Sundown Electric. One of the best reputations, long list of satisfied clients. They test to superior craftsmanship, attention to detail, clear explanations, keeping the costs down right there in Allison, the Smith Brothers. Thanks to Brandon at Top Shelf Apparel. Our T-shirts are still available. Summertime coming up. You need a T-shirt, $20. Come on. We've got small through double X. Hit me up. DM me. Oh, I thought I got rid of that. There we go. Okay. Having trouble this morning with the machinery. ReadySetFund.com. That is Bob Chris, BOBCRST11 at Gmail. If your organization, school team, event needs to raise a little extra money, they'll send you a series or show you how you can do it through a series of text messages. Professional Door Incorporated, residential commercial garage doors. Family owned and operated, 38 years in business. Thanks to Travis Williams, sponsor of our text line. They are the absolute best. As is National Bank, member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of me and this program. Refinanced. If you need to talk to some folks who understand whatever you need financially, go to National Bank. If you're not happy with your bank, I'm telling you, Go see any of the branches around. Nice people who want to help you. Our fan question of the week brought to you by the attorney Ryan Price, 701 West Main Street in Radford. The runaway winner is nothing's going to happen to Mike Vrabel. That was the question. 22 of you said that nothing will happen to Mike Vrabel. Only 8 said he'd be fired. 5 said he would resign. So I think we already have a winner in the clubhouse. Little River Heating and Air, Charles Lee, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg, 540-553-2971. Get your air units ready for, at some point, we'll have warm weather. It's in the 40s this morning. And Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment, they present us each and every day. Our presenting sponsor, Jonathan Sweet, Tim Miller. We've been sharing with you the last 3 weeks all the things they're doing, the kayaking, the cycling, of course, with the racetrack. Next week, we're going to have Jonathan on, and I'm going to try to get Stacy Compton back on here. Thanks to all of our sponsors, McClellan Chiropractic. I mentioned them in our chat room. And, of course, Family Fencing, sponsor of our studios, 540-200-8294. David Smith will join us in just a little bit. Yeah, I wonder if we could get David. I wonder if we get David up. David might do that. You know what? We'll ask him. We'll ask him when we get him on here in a second. Marty would be a no. There's no way Marty will do it. But, yeah, we'll try. We'll try. Oh, Marco, you go be a toolbox somewhere else. All right, there he is on cue. Look at that. We just talked about him, and he just shows up. Look at that guy. What a professional.
What'd you say?
Oh, we're always talking good about you. Well, first of all, the peeps, when we do our BDST bash at the Super Bowl this summer, they want you to be there.
Let's go. All right, let me know.
I will. All right, see, there you go. You just have to ask, peeps.
Hey, listen, they may not want me there after I come, but at that point, it's too late.
It's too late. You're there. You're late. And I bet you're a good bowler, aren't you? I bet you anything. You're a good bowler.
Fair. Listen, back in the day, we used to we didn't have a lot to do. Small town guy. We would go to. I'm from Amherst, so we would go to Lynchburg and bowl, the bowling alley, skating rinks. I wasn't a great skater, but we would go. That was the stuff we did. So you figured out how to do it, and then as I became an adult, one of my dear friends who's no longer with us, one of my high school teammates, got into it. He said, "Man, let's go buy a ball." He says, "Your hands are big and that kind of thing. You can't bowl with what they got." So I went to Kmart.
Hey, they drill you one right there. Yeah.
I went to Kmart, buddy, and got a ball. And somewhere in my house, there's a bowling ball stored away.
That's cool.
I think it was like a 15 or 16 pounder, but that has no impact on my ability to bowl great. So I'm going to sandbag that one. I can tell you that. No doubt.
You're gonna be the ringer on my team. Hey, I got that guy. We're gonna pick out Team David Smith.
Hey, the people are serious about their bowling, man. The folks,
I know they are.
There's some leagues out there, man. I got a couple coworkers who, I'm going to go to North Carolina to be in a bowling tournament. A bowling tournament. Yeah, there are people who take that seriously, brother. So yeah, man.
Should. Yeah. Well, Super Bowl's awesome. We're gonna do our thing there. And my mom was a great bowler, by the way.
Oh wow!
My mom, Leisure Lanes in Pulaski.
I think I actually remember that.
You remember that?
I remember. Yeah. Well, because I used to. That was part of my sales area when I first started with the company I worked for, and so I remember seeing that somewhere in Pulaski. Yeah, second home, New River Valley.
Yep. Exactly right. She worked at the hospital there in Pulaski, and she was on the Pulaski Hospital bowling team.
Now, have you ever heard of duck pins? You ever heard of those?
Yeah.
With a smaller ball. Yeah. My wife talked about her grandmother being good at that. She's from Baltimore, so they did that a lot. I don't know anything about it other than seeing it a couple times, so I don't really have a lot to go on with that. I just remember a bowling ball with the big balls and spray those multicolored shoes so you wouldn't steal them, and off you go.
Well, and off we go now into the NFL kind of, I won't say nothingness because a lot of teams were waiting. There's three. It's funny. Everything we talk about shows up. And I saw a bunch of articles right after the draft talk about how free agency kind of stopped. Well, there's a reason now. Then I guess I didn't think about it. It makes sense. Many of these teams were waiting until the period after the draft So anybody who signed now does not take away any comp picks that you were given or take away the ability to earn comp picks for free agents that were signed elsewhere. The Broncos in particular, why were they so quiet? Well,
so quiet.
They were waiting because they're going to have 2 pretty decent comp picks next year. And so now they get to keep those and they can go out and look to sign some of these guys. And I saw the list and I'm just like, wow, there's a lot of starters that are just out there waiting to be signed. So now it makes more sense.
Makes more sense. And it also spoke to the fact that there was a rush early on for the ones that you didn't care to wait for a comp pick situation.
Correct. Yes.
You went and got those. But then you decide, okay, if it's not worthy of that, then we're just going to lay dormant here and let the draft take care of itself. We might can get a couple needs here. If we don't get the needs, we won't stack picks, down the road picks, late round picks, high value picks. And then after that, to your point, now you're in a situation where you can now pick among players that are on the sideline that you haven't heard from. Now, like there's a Tyreek Hill. Now we have not heard a thing. He's never been this quiet since he became the Tyreek Hill. We know never off the field, different things. And he had a pretty bad injury, even for a guy as athletic as him. But a guy like that, as a very popular all-pro player, very, very important player, don't know that he's going to have, the ability to play next year or not. But guys like that you've not heard from are guys that's going to get scooped up by somebody. And as soon as he does, you're going to go potentially, man, everybody could have had him. It's a shame, how did they end up getting him? So guys like that's just one example of it. I think you're going to start hearing a lot from now that things are happening. And of course, moving into the rest of the offseason, it also will depend, I think, too. Some of these OTAs are getting ready to start. Mini camps are getting ready to start. Coaches and teams can really get their teams in to really see, okay, this is who we thought we've got. Well, is this who I thought it'd be? And maybe then you can find a way to settle into somebody that you really desire that you can get at a more of a value.
So with all that considered right now, who do you think, just off the top of your head, what they've drafted and brought in, who do you think's helped themselves the most that maybe were not in a position a year ago to make a serious run? Who do you like that might be on the come? So many new coaches too, so you have to look at those programs as maybe starting fresh. But what did you like the most from certain teams? Their whole body of the things that they've done.
Well, it's several layers to it too, Rick. On the surface, and I looked at this thing and because in preparing for the day, I thought, he's going to ask me who I thought may have kind of won the draft. That's just one of those. Sure. One of those. And I think in a different way you're asking that. But to me, it starts with the 2 New York teams. I think now it also starts with they needed the most, right?
Well, true, that's right.
So you need it the most, but there are times when teams need the most and still don't get it right in the draft. And sometimes you get it right in the draft on paper, and then the players don't turn out to do what you think they were going to do. So all we have is now. And so really all you can say is, what did the teams need and how did they draft relative to that need? The Giants did a great job. A lot of it was done for them, but you know what? It's smart enough. Who cares? The Chicago Bulls are not mad that the Portland Trailblazers took Sam Bowie.
I know.
6 championships later, they're thrilled that you didn't feel you needed them. Houston took Olajuwon, and God bless them. They got 2 championships too. Yep. So everybody got full on that. So the Bulls didn't have to do a lot except say, I'll take that guy.
I'll take him. Oh, he's at number. He's still there at 3. Sure.
At three, right? So when I think about the Giants, I find them to be in a similar situation. Arvell Reese, in a lot of people's eyes, was the best defender in the draft. Is what a lot of people said, and he falls to number 5. And to your point, you mentioned on Monday when we had the first conversation about this, a plethora of people in the same position. So what? We will line them all up. And we will come at you in waves. We can be very versatile. Harbaugh's going to figure out ways. He comes from a team with a great defensive background. You don't think they're going to be able to figure out how to get him and Thibodeau and all those guys that are hybrids figured out? They're going to be fantastic together. I see that being great. And then at 10, they get Muaga, the tackle from Miami, which was a great pick. And then down the line, they get Colton Hood from Tennessee, the cornerback, and Malachi Fields, the receiver from Notre Dame. They checked a lot of their boxes. And keep in mind,
they did.
they already had a decent infrastructure. If they can get their quarterback to slide, Scatterboo, and Malik Neighbors to just come play football and be healthy. So right out the gate, they've got pieces now. And now you feel like they just needed to get a grown-up in the room to kind of coordinate that. And that's what they hope they've done with Harbaugh. I like what the Giants have done. So Rick, that's number one. And 1A is the Jets. There's the Jets. A lot of needs. I'm not sure I've seen a team look more inept at times last year than the New York Jets.
Yeah.
But them, the only thing that makes me nervous, this is separate from the draft, is they looked inept because their quarterback play just did not happen last year. They went all in early on Justin Fields last year. I mean, they were like, he's our guy. 2 years, what was it? 2 years, $40 million. We got him. Aaron Glenn was excited about him because Aaron Glenn, when he was in the division with him, he was the Detroit defensive coordinator. He was like, this guy gave us fits. And Justin, when he was in Chicago, and I'm thinking to myself, but he didn't even make it in Chicago.
No, he can't
play. And I rooted for that guy. I said, he looks the part. He's physical. He's a dual threat guy, and it has not happened. His accuracy is terrible. He's not seeing it. It is frustrating. He started for Pittsburgh that year, and they ended up sitting him down. And Mike Tomlin will give you a lot of grace. And if he's not giving it to you, you pretty much feel like it's not happening for you. Right. But having said that, though, they took Bailey instead of Reese at 2. They got Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end out of Oregon, who's a great athlete. This guy is a game changer. And then they got Omar Cooper from Indiana. And you talked about those Indiana guys. And they also got the cornerback D'Angelo Pons, too. And here's the deal, Rick. You talked about bringing winning people on. The team went undefeated. Team went undefeated. So how are you going to go wrong with people who have won, surrounding yourself with champions in that way? I think they addressed a lot of their needs. They also, at 103, they picked the defensive interior guy, Darrell Jackson from Florida State. And they got Cade Klubnik from Clemson as a quarterback. They got him in, pick number 110. So you start thinking about the pieces that they put in place based on their need, Rick. You would have to say, okay, they had all these needs. They had a lot of needs, and they addressed a lot of their needs. And so as a draft goes, you think that of the Jets, I feel the same kind of way. Interestingly enough, a team we talked about on Thursday, too, another team in the Giants division, is probably the third team that comes to a lot of people's mind that they did okay, was the Dallas Cowboys. Now, again, Dallas had so many defensive needs, Rick. They were in the bottom third in most defensive categories last year. They were just trying to win shootouts, and that's not sustainable in the National Football League. So they, at 11, Caleb Downs, another Ohio State guy, fell to them too. But to their credit, they took him. And so there you got Downs at 11, the safety. And then they got edge rusher Malachi Lawrence out of Central Florida. And then they got Jashawn Barham out of Michigan. So they addressed their first 3 picks with defensive guys. We talked about it the other day. Then they got an offensive lineman in Drew Shelton from Penn State. Dallas doesn't have offensive problems. They're not going to have offensive problems. They had defensive problems. And as the draft goes, they address those needs as well. And we shouted out Jerry Jones for taking care of the logical, most practical thing the other day. It's like giving him credit for being a good person. It's like, shouldn't everybody be a good person, right?
That's true.
So we're gonna because we know that's not a guarantee when it comes to Dallas. A lot of times their motives appear to be more about how they can be financially more stable than they are about trying to win championships in football games. So I think those 3 teams are kind of near the top. And I guess I would probably give the Cleveland Browns probably as good a grade as anybody. Again, a lot of these teams that did well, if you notice the theme here, they had a lot of needs. They were teams that didn't make the playoffs. They were teams that had multiple picks, and so Cleveland takes care of their offensive line with Spencer Fano. Concepcion, you liked a lot.
I do like him.
Yep. Texas A&M guy, wide receiver, and then Denzel Boston out of Washington. A lot of people are high on him too. So Cleveland added pieces. Here's their thing though, Rick, a lot like the Jets though. Did you address the quarterback enough in the offseason?
No.
Have you figured it out? Are you really? I mean, are you set at that? You got. What are we gonna get from Deshaun Watson, Rick? We haven't heard from him or seen him.
I know. Maybe that's a good thing.
Achilles. I think quiet is probably the thing.
He's been quiet for about a year now. So
and when you come back, I hope someone hands him a script every time he gets in front of a podium. Because it appears as though he gets really jumbled up there a lot of times, and he needs to not be victim in anything he talks about for the rest of his life. He needs to defer to the Deshaun Watson. People forget this. When that guy was at Clemson and early on in Houston, he was beloved by everyone. He was a humble guy I think in Houston, he was the person that took care of like cafeteria people and gave people. He was the guy that was really that guy. Now, his characterization has been tarnished immensely. The only thing that's going to fix him is to be quiet, play football. And Rick, we don't even know if that's going to be adequate enough. And you've got him and Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. And I don't know if somebody said if you have 3 quarterbacks, you don't have any. I'm real skeptical on Cleveland having all these pieces and maybe not having a quarterback position right.
You think the Jets, because I saw a graphic yesterday, the draft next year for quarterbacks potentially could be big. If guys develop, they already have a pretty good starting point that maybe 6 quarterbacks could go in the first round. You think the Jets are looking at it, okay, like you said, we have all these picks. Let these guys get in here a year. Let them learn to be starters. So now we have our infrastructure building. We know Gino's just here for 1 year, hopefully, and you can go get that young guy. Then you plug him in. I think we talked about this a little bit on Monday. I like the thought of maybe having guys around a rookie quarterback already be in there instead of them all starting at once. So if they can maybe go with that mindset, if they can keep, Breece Hall, I don't know. Maybe the Jets are looking past this draft into next year's draft a little bit.
Rick, I think that's exactly what they're doing. Because if you didn't love because if you think about the quarterbacks this year in the draft, there were only 2 taken in the first 2 rounds. So there wasn't a pool of them to pick from, even with all the picks that they had. I couldn't agree with you more. This is a stopgate situation for the Jets, but let's build enough of an attraction in this team that will make it great for anybody to plug and play in. Now, here's the thing. Now you can't go out and win 9-10 games because you're going to be down the board on picks unless you can kind of find yourself in a situation to trade up to get one, a quarterback that is. Because with Moore from Oregon and Arch Manning, we're still waiting on the Arch Manning.
Well, right.
Everyone talks about now, but if he ends up, listen, it doesn't mean that he's not a pretty good quarterback, but look what he's got to compare himself to. His uncles are legendary in a lot of ways, a couple of Super Bowls. But yes, the quarterback pool is better next year. I actually heard this from someone talking about it too, that it's important to build a team that's attractive enough, if not for a draft pick, which you don't have to be attractive to, you can pick them, but maybe a potential free agent that can come available that can look at the Jets for once and finally say, I think all I got to do is go there and I can be the last piece. Either way it goes, Rick, they either got to be talented enough, not win, have a high pick to be in the mix for a good quarterback, or if they win enough games, what they've got to do then is hope that they're attractive enough for free agents. It's a dicey deal, but I don't think you really have any other way to go about it. You can't continue to be miserable, and you cannot go a season without an interception. You cannot go a season without an interception. That is hard to do. Not a deflection, not a tip ball, not a anything. So I think, Rick, them and a lot of other teams that may not have all the pieces now, you got to become an attractive team. You cannot be putrid and already out of it by Thanksgiving. That's not the way to go in New York City anyway. No question.
What about teams that were good last year? I mean, Seattle didn't need a whole lot. They addressed running back as best they could. They lost Kenneth Walker. They were willing to let him go, which kind of tells me a lot. What did you like about teams that were, in the playoffs, went to the Super Bowl, didn't go to the Super Bowl, that were pretty good last year?
Well, as I look through it, Rick, it's so funny you say that because when I think about the top grades, Browns, Jets, Raiders, Giants, Commanders, all those teams weren't in the playoffs. So arguably, right. So guess what? They've had the best grades. Why? Well, they had more ability to have the best grades because they had higher picks and they got better players and they satisfied all their needs in a lot of cases. I mean, if teams were down offensive linemen, when they got a pick, they got an offensive lineman. That's a pretty good choice. We'll give them a good grade because all you have is projections. Talking about teams that did really well, how did they do on picks? Well, there's Howie Roseman and the Eagles, and we talked about Mikhail Lemon with USC. He went there at 20. That was a great pick for them. He slid ahead and got that pick. They got Eli Stowers, a tight end out of Vanderbilt. Their grade was pretty much a B+ based on several reports out there. So that's an Eagles team that most people feel like is super stacked with talent that didn't need substantial pieces. But again, Rick, they give you a pick every round unless you traded it. How are you going to continue to build your roster And I think the teams that do a good job of that are the teams that are usually successful in building depth. And, the NFL is kind of interesting. 53-man rosters. This isn't 80 like college.
No.
So, game days, you're only dressing 46, I think it is. And you think about that for a sec. You're only dressing 46 football players.
I think that's crazy.
I've never understood.
I don't either.
How they have it so well. I know why, because they're not going to pay more players because they want to try to bank all this. But now you're talking about 17 games. It used to be 16 games. It used to be 14 games. I'm not sure that the rosters have moved a lot over all that time with all these extra games. And now you're talking about 18 games. I can't see the NFLPA is not going to move until you expand these rosters. They're like, if you think we're going out here and banging our heads for 46 football players, I mean, you start to think about it. You can't only have about 7 linemen, offensive linemen for a game. I mean, you think about sometimes some of these teams have had to move stuff around. I'm amazed they get through the finish line with rosters like that. You got special teams guys. You think about special teams return, special teams kick. You're talking about offense and defense. You're talking about 22. You're talking about 30 some players that are in 35 players in collisions all the time. You only got like 12 that's staying over to the side. So depth is important. It's the point I'm making. Long-winded way to make it. I think the Eagles did a nice job in terms of adding to what they did. The Niners, Rick, to your point, no one was impressed with their draft at all.
I never saw one person say anything good about what they did.
No, not at all. And no one could be less bothered about it than Kyle Shanahan, because their method. I probably defend him. Well, I know I defend him more than you do. I know that. But that's what makes our segment great, because we aren't always we're aligned, but we're not. Because what's great about it is that San Francisco's model from the outside looking in has been, I can take pretty much anybody and put them in this uniform and they can make them ours. And they really subscribe to that. And it's proven to be kind of true. It's proven to be kind of true, because when their running backs went down, when McCaffrey went down a couple of years ago with the multitude of injuries, whoever they plugged in at running back, it reminded me of your Broncos zone read offensive running back situation you all had in the 90s into the 2000s. How many running back? Y'all made everybody 1,000-yard runner.
It didn't matter who. Mike Anderson or Landis Scary, it didn't matter.
Name them all. Did y'all Clinton Portis at one time? Yeah, Clinton Portis.
Yeah, right? Clinton Portis. Yeah, and they made their trade with the Redskins
with Washington.
For
exactly right. Yeah. But what did they do? Plug and play, 1,000 yards. So it's ironically the father of Kyle Shanahan. So when you think about it, they feel like they can develop people. Obviously, they want great players, but their draft was nothing to write home about. But the main thing they did in the offseason was they re-signed Trent Williams. They got him taken care of before training camp. And they got Christian McCaffrey, and they got Brock Purdy, and they've got to get Ayuk out of there. And they got Kittle, who's going to be coming rehabbing from that Achilles. The Niners did nothing in the draft that would make you go, wow, at all. And Seattle probably was only a tick above them. But guess what? Both those teams, playoff level teams, top 5 football teams in the NFL, didn't need a lot, so you're not going to get a lot. I get repetitive with that. But Seattle, they added Jadarian Price out of Notre Dame. They added Bud Clark out of TCU, Julian Neal out of Arkansas. Any of these names strike you as great? Nope. But guess what? No. Seattle was a bunch of dudes last year, other than Sam Darnold, that had career years and had great rookie years. And so, you know, Kenneth Walker had not even had a great regular season for Seattle. Had a good regular season, but he was sharing the load, if you remember. And with Charbonnet and so they were kind of the dual back thing that Detroit had done, kind of the Sonic and Hedgehog thing, right? And so, but they added just pieces that they felt were going to be great, but nothing that the layman fan would understand as being significant. And so a lot of those things, I think teams like that get a little bit of a pass though, Rick, because we trust that they're going to be okay. Why? Well, they just won the Super Bowl, right? You know, they beat they're in the toughest division in the sport. And so in some of those cases, you feel like they've done okay. And then, of course, the runner-up to the Super Bowl championship, the New England Patriots, they've had a whole lot of other stuff going on up there. But their draft was kind of too. But in their particular situation, there wasn't a whole lot that they did that made a lot of people go wow to. But once again, if you can maintain your roster and add pieces that aren't sexy, but fill needs and build depth, usually championship and winning teams are in that space as long as you can keep your core people. And of course, New England's pretty young too. So they still got people on rookie deals, so they can just continue to add people along the way.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if Drake May can take the next step They put all the distractions behind them. I don't think Seattle's going to be a long-term, I don't think we're going to look at Seattle next year. So, here they are again. I'm sorry, but Sam Darnold doesn't lead me that excitement like if it was somebody else. Maybe they do. I see somebody else coming back. Maybe it's the Chiefs. Maybe it's somebody like that. Maybe, like you said, maybe Dallas. Maybe the Eagles. Somebody who's been there before will do it. I think we're going to have new contenders in both leagues. I really do.
Well, aren't we wanting to see, Jordan Love at Green Bay? They had a nice season as well, but they just can't seem to get it across the line. I also think the Rams have had a whole lot of noise for the wrong reasons over this Ty Simpson pick at 13.
I know.
There's depending on who you want to believe in this, we had him all with the whole time through, and then maybe we didn't. They're trying to pull our leg on this. I just know this: when the games start, the LA Rams football team is good. They're really good. That division alone, when you talk about Seattle not making it back, the main reason they may not make it back is because the Rams are good, right? They're really good. The Niners are really good. You got them to play twice. In-division games are difficult. And the Rams this year, the Super Bowl's in LA. So better way for the Rams to kind of put a bow on this thing than to host that bad boy. They're a problem, Rick. They're a problem. They may come out scorched earth over all this noise. Matthew Stafford, it's going to be one of two things. He's either going to come out like, I'll show you why you wasted that pick. I ain't going anywhere. Or he may be like, man, I don't even trust y'all anymore. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. I feel like McVay has done a nice job of presenting what he said he did. Now it's going to be real interesting to see how it all plays itself out, because the Rams are built for it. But one thing about teams that are built for it, they usually are older teams, and usually older teams have injuries throughout the season. And so we got to make sure that they've got to make sure Puka Nacua has got himself squared away. They seem to be optimistic that he's going to have his troubles behind him. Let's get this Ty Simpson thing out the way. I think McVay will spin it right. But when you talk about Seattle and why they may not make it, them Rams are right there in their face, buddy. Right. They're not going anywhere. Yeah,
and I think that's what the AFC will eventually become too. Once the Raiders get up and going, which I think that's going to happen sooner than later with Mendoza. So, just the South in the AFC, I don't see Jacksonville hanging around. I don't know what it is about them. I don't see them being that team. I don't see the Colts having that division. Houston I don't know where that division sits right now. Can Tennessee? And the reason I bring this up, I really like what they did. I'm a big fan of Cam Ward. What do you think? Can Tennessee make some ground up this year in that division? It seems like it's set up for them to do that.
Well, it is. I would say I would be surprised if anybody can get past Houston. Houston's model right now is one where we're going to bludgeon you defensively. Our model is set. Our coach, DeMeco Ryan, we love DeMeco Ryans. DeMeco Ryans got the job, and all they've done is go to playoffs every year. And they are led by their defensive stalwarts. That Will Anderson is a grown man, and they're young, and they've already got those defensive players on deals.
Yep.
And so anybody that's going to win that division, you're going to have to go through Houston and that defense, and they are hungry. They're pinning their ears back. I can see Aaron Rodgers now. He's still looking over his shoulder in that playoff game. It just kind of wonder what the heck is going on. Houston, to me, isn't going anywhere, Rick, right now. So if you're going to win it, you're going to have to go through them. Now, what's funny is about 9 games into the season last year, the Indianapolis Colts on my Hot 4 on the show was number 1. They were number 1. And, we talk about it. We value wins because that's how you're rated in the NFL. Wins over anything. That's
Style points don't matter. That's right.
That's how they see them. And so if they're going to see them that way, then we're going to value that. And so when we do our Hot 4, we value wins. And the Colts were like 7-1 or 8-1. And then everything went when Daniel Jones left. He may have become the MVP of the league by missing games. The moment he went out, you talk about value.
More. Yeah.
There you go. And so he was gone. And so that changed everything for them. Now, if he can come back and they can reclaim some of that magic, you got to feel like they're going to be okay, because you figure 8-1 is 8-1, right? In this league. It is not easy to be that. Can they recapture some of that? They had a really good draft. They picked up a lot of pieces that they felt they needed as well. And a lot of people have them have an A or A- grade in the draft. And so to me, that division is kind of up for grabs. I think Tennessee's got another year to kind of build on it, Rick. I think the Colts aren't going to quite go away. They've got a lot of rebuilding to do around that quarterback position. I'm not sure what they're going to do with Anthony Richardson. I mean, he's on the team. I don't know.
He's getting paid.
I don't know. I mean, but that was a reach on a lot of levels.
Yeah, that was a bad
and so I guess they got enamored with the physical. Listen, he looks the part. There's no question about it. But unfortunately, you guys still play the game. And don't forget, Jacksonville, to your point, it doesn't seem sustainable, but boy, they were 13-4 last year. They were 13-4 last year. And I believe they lost, wasn't it, to the Broncos in the playoffs? I think it was. Am I right about that? They lost, I think it's 27-20, if I ain't mistaken, in a good football game. And so I feel like they whether they return to 13-4 or not, I don't know. I'll be interested to see if they can maintain. I don't know, to your point, Rick. Again, there's 7 spots in these playoffs. And there's a lot of people that have gotten better through draft and free agency. Jacksonville, is it sustainable? Can Trevor Lawrence have another great year?
That's what
we'll see. That's well, Rick, like most of these things, bad quarterback play is hard to hide. Good quarterback play you can kind of build around, and great quarterback play you can be heard from. And so can he give you another good season there? This is, I think, will be year 6 or 7 for him already in the National Football League. It's hard to believe already.
Well, it's going to be very interesting, and we'll break down the Pezzo. I know you're a Steeler guy. We'll break down the North next week. We'll get into the AFC North a little bit.
Yeah.
Of course, Diego Pavia signing with the Ravens. I mean, that guy kind of talked himself out of a lot of things. So we'll see how all that works out for him. But the Bengals are a team we got to look at too, because Todd Grantham sent me a graphic. He was offered. I guess we can talk about it now. He was offered the defensive coordinator position for the Bengals, and they don't have but 9 people on their staff in terms of scouting.
They've always been that way.
Yeah, Ravens, Browns, Steelers with the full. And so we got to get into what's going on in the Bengals. You got Joe Burrow, who's hurt all the time. You talk about a guy who looks like he could be a Super Bowl winning quarterback, came in immediately having success. The Bengals have done nothing, and I mean nothing, to build around him. And to me, it's the strangest thing in the world that you have your franchise quarterback and you've given him no support whatsoever.
Even before you mentioned that with Todd Grantham, the book on the Bengals has always been that Mike Brown's the cheapest guy in the league. Relative to reinvesting into his program, facilities-wise, all those things, infrastructure-wise, they've been balling on a budget. In spite of him, they've had success over the years. They have not done the extra things necessary to be able, other than occasionally paying a guy. Other than that, he has not done things to build things around that program to be successful. If they happen to win, it's because they've got good enough players that can just play better. But the things to build long-term success to make players and coaches feel. But to hear that, what Todd said about that, it's just, you're starting from, it's almost like being a team that has smaller NIL money in college basketball, and you're asking me to go up against guys that have more NIL money and resources.
No, that's right. It's a good,
I need you to go win. I'm saying, well, I've only got a fraction of what they got. Well, you win anyway. It's like, bro, so I need to be able to put me on the same level, and I'll probably give you enough of those wins. Ask me to do it without it, and you asked me to do a lot. So, let's get into that some more with the North. I'll make sure to make a note of that, because we haven't even talked about the Chiefs a little bit here. They're just sitting over there. They only went to 6 Super Bowls. So we probably, in the last 10 years or so, we probably ought to talk about them a little bit too.
Yeah, we'll bring up the Chiefs, see if they can have a bounce back year this year.
Sounds great, brother.
All right, man. Well, listen, terrific as always. I mean, you got Phil Mation saying, what did Phil say here? Coach said to David Smith, he says, David needs to be an NFL draft consultant or a GM for a Power 4 college team.
Let me tell you something. I listened to Coach Elmo's after I went for my walk the other day, and I listened to you guys, and I heard him say that I could have retired from life right then. If Coach Elmo gives you flowers for anything, because listen, he's going to call it like he sees it. And by the way, most of the coaches I grew up with in my life were like him.
Absolutely, 100%.
And I know why you have him on. That's why your peeps love him. Is because that's everything I grew up with, and he will not sugarcoat it. I love that guy. He reminds me of everybody I played for growing up. So much love to Coach Elmo. I'm gonna get on one day with him. I just want to listen to him one day.
We'll do it. Oh, he'd do it. Yeah, maybe we can do it next week. He'd love.
Yeah,
he'd love that. He'd love that.
Oh, listen, he had no problem logging in. He's got no problem.
No, he's right there. He's right there.
I love that guy. Please tell him hello for me. Please.
I will. All right, DS. Have a great weekend, brother.
My man, appreciate you.
All right, man. Be good. There you go. David Smith, the best NFL analyst on the block. There you go. Thank you very much. Told ya. Good stuff as always. I'm going to get Andy Bitter on here and we'll follow up with him. They had a really good cast about potential ADs over there at Tech Sideline. We'll get his update on that and what he thinks of the NCAA tournament expansion, all these things as we segue from one great guest to the other coming up. Yeah, Mike Brown has no reason to be that. Correct. They're all billionaires. I don't understand. But think about that for just a second. We'll get Todd to talk about this sometime. He was he could have had the Bengals DC job, and he'd been in the NFL and did a very good job with the Saints defensive line 2 years before Oklahoma State, and then that head coach lost his job, so everybody on the staff got. And he chose to go to a different place in college, not even a power school, because of how completely disarray the Bengals organization is run. So that tells you a lot right there. Tells you a whole lot. Always telling us a whole lot is this gentleman. He is the head football writer of Tech Sideline. He's the lead writer of Tech Sideline, Andy Bitter. What's up, AB?
A lot. How are you?
There is a lot. My goodness, where do we start?
A lot of news for late April.
Well, let's get into it. All things Tech, search for a new AD and all these changes, and a lot of candidates' names are popping up. You guys had a good podcast about all these things, right?
Yeah, it was, you get to late April and you're like, what are you going to talk about now that you've wrapped up the spring game? Like,
right.
Oh, okay. The athletic director change. I don't think it was too surprising that there was a change after, the presidential news at Virginia Tech. I thought it was, the cards were dealt at that point. I think it was pretty obvious that Whit Babcock would be out next. I'm curious what direction they go. Is this going to be sort of an out-of-the-box hire? Is this going to be a traditional athletics hire? I think they could go a couple different ways with this, and it might be unpredictable the way this board of visitors is going to react, because they've been making rapid changes, and their business, their go. They want to get some a person of action into this role, and I don't know if that necessarily means it's going to be just a regular athletic director from another school. I wonder if it might be somebody that has like a business background.
Yeah, and some of the candidates that Teal brought up were interesting. He talked about it yesterday. Just looking at the early list of potential people, is there somebody that stands out for you that you think, okay, that could be pretty intriguing?
Well, I think the name that just makes the most logical sense is Matt Rowan from JMU, because why not just hire the JMU guy? It's
right?
They've had success. They've had good ADs. They've had good football coaches. And if you just kind of follow that model, I think you'd be okay. He's obviously somebody who has a Virginia Tech football background. He's young. He's never really done it at a power conference, so I think those are the concerns there. But I think that his track record is pretty good. And I think that could be, a decent hire there. The what's his name at the Coastal Carolina? Is it Chance Miller? I'm blanking on the name. Sorry. He could be an interesting one. Julie Cromer from LSU could be an interesting one. Again, I don't know what direction they're planning on going though. So if not knowing that, it could be kind of hard to pick these out. But let me just say, I trust Teal's reporting and list on this.
No.
He puts it out there. That's probably a pretty good list to start with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he didn't just randomly pick those names. Exactly right. That's exactly right. And James Franklin, he'll have a huge influence on this, I'm guessing, right? At least from the athletic director's choice.
I would imagine. Regardless of who they hire, he's going to be the most powerful person in the athletic department. James Franklin, that is.
Correct.
He's the football coach. He has an outsized personality and an outsized influence on everything that goes on in that department, and he should. Football is the thing that drives this whole train. I mean, if it's not successful, nothing else works over there, just money wise. So, yeah, I think he's going to be the guy that has some influence on this. It's going to have to be somebody that he can see himself working with, because that partnership has to work. You can't have an AD and a head football coach at odds. And it'll be interesting to see, who reports to whom and how this works. I would imagine there would be a traditional reporting structure where Franklin reports to the AD. But again, this is an opportunity that perhaps they can switch some things up. But I don't know if you don't have that structure, do you limit your AD pool? It's like when they were trying to structure it before, like we're going to hire the GM first, then the head coach. It's like, no, that's not how that works. That's not how that's ever worked. And they switched that up pretty quickly to be a more traditional way. So, perhaps if they're trying to think outside the box, like, they'll have this person report here, not be in charge of football. No, I don't think that's going to work. I think you have to do it the normal way, because that's how you're going to get a good candidate in here.
And does it make sense the president should be hired first, or is this something how do you think the order will go?
I would imagine the president first and the AD second, but I think those searches are going on at the same time. And I think those searches will overlap. I think that there'll be some communication between the candidates that, if you're an AD, you have to work. Again, this is collaborative. You have to be able to work with the person that's in the president's office, and the president has to be able to work with the AD. And honestly, that worked well for a while with Tim Sands and Whit Babcock. I know a lot of listeners will disagree on the final outcome of that whole thing, but that was a pairing that they were comfortable with each other. And I think that's an important thing to have between those two. So, yeah, I think there'll be some collaboration between those two, and some talking between the hiring groups.
Robbie asked, will Franklin's influence be so much? Can you ask Andy, does he think he'll suggest people that should be interviewed that maybe he knows or has worked with in the past?
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I think, he's a person who has ideas about how he wants this thing run. And he's come across a lot of people in his time in college athletics. So I think, I think if he makes a suggestion, I think the board would be like, yes, we're going to listen to this.
So let's break down what this means, this whole AD emeritus for Whit Babcock. You broke down the salary yesterday on your tweet, but is this something you see him staying the entire time? And how's that going to work with the new athletic director? What exactly is this position going to mean for Tech?
Honestly, I think it's just a way to reduce the buyout.
I do too.
I don't think he's going to have any say or role in anything at Virginia Tech, at least anything of significance. People are like, why are you paying him at all? It's like, well, he had a contract, and that contract went through 2029, and they would have had to pay him, I believe, about $4 million. And now under this new one, they're going to pay him about $3 million. So they saved $1 million by structuring this the way they did. And, I think the benefit for Whit is he continues to get health insurance and all the other. I mean, there's, the courtesy cars and country club thing is still there. So there are obviously benefits to him still being on the payroll. But in terms of actual tangible effect on the athletic department, I don't think there's going to be. I don't think he's going to have an office over there or anything.
Right, exactly.
I think this is just a soft landing type deal.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's funny. I was going to use the exact same phrase. That's what it is. A soft landing spot. You're no longer here. We're moving on, but enjoy the free money.
And there are all these people on our message boards like they should have fired him to send a message. I'm like, send the message of what? That you want to pay an additional $1 million? Like, no, this was, this is a way to send somebody off in a nice way. I know people don't want to hear that. Like, they should make an example out of him. It's like, do you want to treat employees like that if they've been here for over a decade? Who's well liked by coaches, by the way. And you save $1 million. So $1 million is $1 million, no matter how you save it.
I've had a lot of questions, and I don't know the answer. I haven't asked you because it just happened. You think Franklin was caught off guard by any of this? Maybe just the timing of it?
No.
Or how much did he know going into it? That
I'm sure. Believe me, he's got a bat phone that goes straight to the Board of Visitors office.
The bat phone.
He was not caught off guard by this, and it wouldn't surprise me if the BOV ran this by him first, because if he had a major problem with it, or if he put his foot down and said, "I want Whit Babcock here," it wouldn't have happened. Because, like I said, he has the most power and the most clout in that athletic department. So, no, I don't think this caught him off guard at all.
Wow, that's a lot of power for a guy who hasn't coached one game yet.
That's what I mean, when you're a 3-9 football program and you're hiring a coach of his caliber, that's what they do. Is they give you have to give the full power and control over the program to a person like that. And honestly, they should. If you look at his track record of success at a couple of different places, if you want him to be able to get that track record of success here, you go, hey, let him cook. Like, do the same thing that you did there. And what did he do at other places? He had total control, and he would push people and perhaps too much. If you had some of the employees at Penn State and Vanderbilt, he's always asking for more, but he's always asking, and that sometimes gets it done.
No, we'll see how it works long term in Blacksburg. We'll see. I got to get into this NCAA tournament thing with you. We knew it was coming, and boy, when you see it written, you hate it even more. At least I do. The 76 teams, and you can say what it is. It's a money grab. I'm not buying it's going to help any mid-majors. I'm sorry. It's just not. It's just all about the power leagues getting more teams in to have a shot to earn more of that NCAA money. That's all this is.
Yeah, it's dumb.
It is. It's just
nobody wants it, but the coaches or administrators that are on the bubble every year. You notice the loudest supporter of this has been Seth Greenberg. It's like, gee, the guy that never made the tournament, that was always team number 65 or 69 or just on the edge, was the one that wants this the most. I think it waters down a great event. I don't even like the 68. If I'm being honest with you, I'd rather just have the 64. I sort of forget that those first 4 games are even going on often. It'll be Tuesday night or something like that. I'm just flipping through the channels. I'm like, oh, that's right. That started. And now we're going to have 12 games like that. That doesn't seem like a way that you want to, like, you want your event to start and everybody to know that it started, not tiptoe into this event.
Right.
And if you water that down even further, it bothers me. The second thing that bothers me is, first of all, you're going to have just awful teams in there. Virginia Tech might have made it this year. Virginia Tech was not a good team, did not deserve to be in the tournament.
No.
And lo and behold, I bet you they would have found a way to be healthy enough to play in the tournament as opposed to the NIT. They're like, we can't do it. We're too hurt. We're too banged up to do this. But I don't think the 8th and 12th place teams in the ACC deserve to be in this tournament. We've already decided they're not national title worthy. Why do we need to decide it again?
Right.
And the other thing that bothers me is, there's a real charm about the NCAA tournament that it's like everybody gets involved in this thing.
Yeah,
like even non-basketball fans. And what is one of the big reasons why? It's the bracket. And you get the bracket on Sunday, and then you make your picks. And a lot of time people don't even pick those playing games. Those are just afterthoughts. You're like, I'm not going to pick them in the second round anyway, so I can just fill this out on Monday or whatever it is. Yep. And now you can have 12 games feeding into that first round. So you got to wait until Tuesday or Wednesday result. Like, I think they're overlooking how much of a problem that is. And the casual fan is not going to be like, well, I'll pick one of these playing teams to go 2 rounds or something like that. So it just bothers me. It's just unnecessary. It's just as dumb in football if they're talking about 24 teams. Letting teams in that we've already concluded aren't national title worthy. What are we doing? There's no point to it.
Agreed. That's the attorney Ryan Pride just put the same thing in chat there. Yeah, that's right. It's going to have an effect on viewers because it's the casuals who really kind of make this thing go. You're right. And that's going to be very confusing for people. I have to fill this thing out on Monday now? What are we doing?
Right, and it was such a universal feeling that everybody got together, got to do that, and it's done on Sunday night. This is it. And if you don't want to pick the 4 playing games, it's not going to ruin your bracket because it's just, 4, 2 16 seeds and, an 11, 12 or whatever that other one is. So, yeah, I don't like it. I'm not a fan.
It's amazing, too, and I want to get your take. You hang out with AMAC a lot, and he knows all about this stuff. People saying a lot of this is one of the best things from their standpoint, more gambling opportunities, right? It's like the gambling community loves this because that's just more bets that'll be placed in these casinos. I've seen that written by a lot of different people. Why is that such a prominent thing people are talking about?
I don't know if I'd apply that to there's a lot of things that the gambling community is really clamoring for. I don't think this is it. Believe me, there are plenty of bets to be made out there, even if it's not college basketball that's going on. I mean, all these teams would be in the NIT anyway, and there's betting that goes on with that. So I find that a bit of a stretch to say that this is a gambling consideration.
Yeah, it would seem like it. It would seem like it. Speaking of that, Brendan Sorsby. Just a wild story, and you read the history. It followed him back all the way to his days at Indiana. Of course, the scandal at Cincinnati. I don't know what the final number was. I've seen anywhere from 4.5 to 6 million. Texas Tech had their guy. They were unanimous favorites to be the Big 12 champs again, and now he's checked himself into rehab. I don't think he'll ever play college football again. I hope he can get better, but my goodness, the kid said at times he was making 100 bets before he rolled out of bed. How about that? Just about on his app. Just crazy.
That's a lot of bets. I will say that the one thing about this story that I'm like, okay, that was bad, was that he bet on his own team. Bet on his own team, bet on his own sport. And like for over 100 years, that has been the red line with gambling. Right? Like, we don't have to be like, oh, this is a muddy waters. It's like, I think the Black Sox pretty well established this over 100 years ago that you don't bet on your own team. And if you forgot about that, I think Pete Rose hammered it home. You don't bet on your own team. The other stuff, I still like, yes, it sounds like he has a problem and just a habitual gambler and he has to do it. So good for him for getting help. But I like betting on baseball. I don't care. I'm fine with it. Betting on if you bet on the NBA or something like that, or the NFL, again, I don't care. It's not an issue in my mind. I guess the issue was that he was not yet 21 when he was doing it. But if you're a legal adult and it is a legal activity, I'm fine with it. And if the NCAA really has these harsh penalties for anybody who bets on anything that's on a sport sanctioned by the NCAA, they were gonna loosen that up, and then they chickened out.
They did
in the wake of some of and it bothered me because they're going back to this archaic, way. It's sort of like it's like abstinence only. It's like, does that education work? They're in the spot where they're like, you can't gamble at all on anything. It's like, well, I think kids that age are still going to do it.
Correct.
And I think that if you try to police this with such a heavy hand, you're going to go after people like Alan Tisdale, who bet on NBA games. And it's like, was this a real harm to college athletics that he bet on the NBA finals? I don't think so. So there's a lot of pearl clutching about this. And there's this anti-gambling faction that will take whatever opportunity. And this is a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. And betting on your own sport, Emmanuel Clase, get him out of here. Brendan Sorsby, get him out of here. But betting on other sports, like I don't think it's the evil that people make it out to be.
Especially when they're endorsing all these gambling.
That's the other thing.
All the money they're getting from.
Yeah, it's like the Sorsby deal. It's like,
what are we doing?
Will Sorsby ever play college football again? FanDuel has the odds at plus 200, but it's just like, come on now. There's only a slight bit of hypocrisy going on here.
Rolling at the bottom of the ESPN story. Hey, remember when they had those ESPN?
Over under 0.5 college passes Brendan Sorsby ever throws in his life.
Hey, one question before we let you go. Jason asks, AB, will Mike Young have a competitive budget moving forward? What have you heard about the basketball budget? Anything?
I have no idea.
I haven't either.
Every year they make some pledge about how this is going to be more competitive this year. I think you can tell based on how the roster will turn out.
Yes.
Do they get some of the guys they're going after? Or are they selling for scraps? And last year it seemed like they weren't. And adding Neo late and the kind of money that they had to throw at him, it seemed like they had the kind of roster that could compete. Admittedly, I haven't paid close attention to the basketball edition. And probably David Cunningham's probably better to ask about roster construction. But I think, nowadays, I think you go, well, is this program fully funded? How are they doing? It's like, well, how are they doing the standings? That's probably a pretty good indication of whether it was or not. So we'll find out. But I can't imagine they're going to get Kentucky's budget on basketball.
No.
It's sort of a place you still sort of have to make do with what you have, and we'll see if Mike Young can do that and pull out of this thing.
Absolutely. What do you got coming up now? What do you got? What are you going to be focused on here, so people can find you and read it on Tech Sideline?
I think I got a defensive backstory that I'm writing today. We're actually going to talk to Whit Babcock next week.
Oh, good.
Next Thursday, I believe, is when it's scheduled for. So we'll see.
Sweet.
We'll see what he has to say that day.
Okay, that'll be good. Well, all right, brother. Enjoy your weekend, man, and thank you as always. Good stuff.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right, AB. There you go. Andy Bitter, Tech Sideline. Good stuff. Good information all the way around. I know the latest kid they signed was the guy from Elon who averaged under 4 points a game. It might be an indication on where their budget sits. I don't know. But yeah, you're right, Attorney Ryan Pry. The casual fan's going to look at this and go, okay, now this looks like something I don't want to get involved in. The aura of March Madness. And you got bozos like Seth Greenberg and Seth Davis. Wow, they have the same name, acting like this is going to be just a great thing, the expansion of the tournament. Okay. More is not always better, right? That feels like this is definitely one of those cases, right? To me, that's what it feels like. Thanks to Family Fencing, sponsor our studios. Call them for a free quote. Weather's, I won't say warm, but hopefully coming in May, warm weather. Mark Hunley, McClellan Chiropractic. After we get graduation over with here and finish up the season, I'm going to get over there and we're going to video me going through the gauntlet of what he can do to help you and your back and whatever might be ailing you. Because Lord knows my back can be hit or miss. Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. They are the presenting sponsor of this program. I'm going to try to have Jonathan Sweet back on with us on Monday. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg, 540-553-2971. Give Charles Lee a call today. Mention the attorney, Ryan Pry. BDST fan question of the week. Nothing is going to happen to Mike Vrabel. And since we were told early by Vic that he got a standing ovation at a season ticket holders event, well, nothing's going to happen to Mike Vrabel. You win. National Bank member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of me and this program. Go see any of the branches around. You'll see what I'm talking about. Travis Williams, Professional Door Incorporated, residential and commercial garage doors. Family owned and operated 38 years right across from New River Community College. They've now turned into a regional and even a national business with how good they are. And so give them a call. Go visit them. And always, if you need employment, they may be looking for more people. Reach out to him about that. ReadySetFun.com. That's Bob Chris, the brother of Dave Chris, the Blacksburg legendary coach. BOBCRST11 at Gmail. See how your organization or sporting event or your team, whatever it might be, school organization, church organization, can raise money via the texts. And Sundown Electric, one of the best reputable businesses that we have in our region down in Elliston. They will always be honest with you. Integrity about their work. They will never surprise you with hidden costs. Give the Smith brothers a call. They're great. NRV Super Bowl, 540-382-5525. Give Terry Stike a call. Reserve your lanes this weekend. We're going to be out there for the bash. James Lawson, Mobile Home Supply, since 1997, over on 300 North Franklin Street in Christiansburg. And Brandon at Top Shelf Apparel and thank them so much. You think Neo will turn the corner with UNC? We'll see. He'll have better players around him, sure. Maybe a year under his belt. A lot of Tech fans have said, of course he's going to have a great year because he left Virginia Tech. He'll be an all ACC player. We'll see about that, but maybe a year getting acclimated. Unfortunately, the year at Tech was his guinea pig year. But man, we were told right off the bat, weren't we, that that was going to lead to Tech being a contender in the league. He was going to come in and be all ACC. I mean, the hype around him was unbelievable. Looking back on it, I mean, he signed and people were just, whew, they were falling all over themselves. Alex Guerre from Radford Baseball scheduled to join us here. It's a really busy time. It's graduation weekend at Radford. Kids are finishing up exams. We've got our athletics graduation ceremony. I'm emceeing tomorrow. No games at Radford this week. Man, it comes at you in a hurry. Wayne from Ohio says, I think Neo may get tough love at UNC versus coddled like he was in Virginia Tech. Yeah, it was kind of felt like he was handled differently, doesn't it? You're right. And that doesn't work. Michael Malone won't do that. Michael Malone has dealt with NBA stars, the greatest star in the NBA. So he will not take that approach with Neo as he starts his career. You know, and I wonder too, you know, we've had, what was it, less than 2 weeks after Malone took the job, Billy Donovan resigned as the coach of the Bulls. If Billy Donovan was really number one on the list, he said, just, I need to wait here for a little while, and then he didn't. And I wonder if Billy Donovan, there's not any college jobs open now, but I wonder if he's going to come back into the collegiate game next year. He might end up being a decent get next year for somebody. Did Carolina jump the gun? Did they not like the way he handled it? I don't know. But I'll tell you what, most of Carolina Nation, Rodney, you around? I don't know if you're around. Most of Carolina Nation feels good about Mike Malone. I'm not seeing a lot of folks in Carolina like having buyer's remorse at all. So maybe it works out. Could work out. Here you go, Tebow. Sean Padula left Tech. Yep. Blew up at Ole Miss. Yeah. And that could trace back to a coaching issue and a developmental issue. I don't know if Chris is still here, Mr. Lester. He's talked about that. So Neo wasn't good under pressure, and UNC is, that's major pressure. Yeah, that's the bluest of blue blood pressure. That's Radford showing up to start their season, a home season, on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, and 18,000 people there. Pressure, just because it's Carolina basketball. Yeah, there you go, Rodney. Yeah. See, he likes Malone. Everybody, I haven't, and there's a lot of Carolina fans I talk to that I know, and they're all just like, okay, we're okay with this. All right. Seem to have gotten a raw deal in Denver. We talk about it with Franklin a lot, but maybe Malone's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. Apparently, the Trailblazers wanted to hire him. He was starting to talk to them about contract, how that would look, and then Carolina came in and offered him a lot more money, and he was like, my daughter's there. It's a different challenge. Let's go do that. Hey, Dorian Finney-Smith, that's a good name, Wayne. Yeah, that's a really good name. Absolutely. So we'll see, going forward. Dwight Vick comes up at 8 o'clock. We'll see going forward what happens with the rest of their roster. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, and that makes sense, Rodney, too, doesn't it? Carolina they don't have a need for a shortage of pay-for-play money. They're going to have money. It's North Carolina. They don't have to worry about it. And you got a guy with an NBA background, and you've got a guy who you talk about not only selling the whole thing with money, but, hey, man, I know what it takes. I want an NBA title. What are these guys thinking of, especially the one-year guys, right? It's a large advantage, I think, for a basketball coach who's come out of the NBA recently. If they can adjust, I think it's a much easier adjustment being from the NBA to college than if you're a college coach having success and trying to go to the NBA. That just seems like you're jumping off a cliff. You talk about two different worlds now. Woo. Alexander Walker is hands down the best VT player of late. I don't know anything about Alexander Walker, but Jason, if you're telling me that, I'll believe you. I will believe you. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. All right. Switching gears now, we're going to talk some stick and ball sports with that gentleman. He's the head baseball coach at Radford University, Alex Square. What's up, AG?
Rick, good morning.
How are you, man? How are you? Hey, doing good. And it's exam week, right? So things are a little quieter. I saw some of the boys yesterday heading out. You could tell they were happy to be getting a workout, heading to the field yesterday afternoon, but finishing up the all-important academic schedule here.
We are finishing up. Guys are doing well with their finals. At least that's what they've been telling me. So a little bit of a down week, I would say, right now, just from a practice standpoint. But we're ready to rock.
You are ready to rock, and this is.
Can you hear me? Because you're on.
Yeah, it's like a weird delay. I don't know.
The delay.
I'll tell you what I'll do. Let me send you. I'll X out. I'll send you another invite. That usually fixes it.
Okay.
Let me do that real quick. All right, let me do that. Let me send me another invite. Yeah, we both had kind of like the exaggerated movie when you put the old international movies where they would dub in the English voice. That's kind of what we had going there. We'll try it again here with AG. Big Al says UNC would never admit they made a mistake. Just look at football. Well, there's something to that too, maybe. All right, there he is. Yeah, it looks better already. I can tell already. Yeah. You
Good
got
to
me?
go.
Yeah. Okay.
I got you. Yep.
Well, let's talk about not the week that was, but last weekend. We previewed it, and it was the series you thought it was going to be. But, boy, your bats stayed hot. I know it was a disappointing Friday, but what a resounding response on Saturday and Sunday. Not easy to go down and play in Clinton, and you guys took 2 out of 3. That was a big series win for your club.
No, it was a huge weekend. Friday night, I don't think we really deserved to win. I don't think we did enough by any means. They made no mistakes, and they were better. They're more clutch, and we talked about it last week. I mean, going down to Clinton it's a challenge. It's a challenge, and those guys played hard, and give them credit. But Saturday was awesome. I mean, it was a tight game up until about the 7th.
Yeah.
No, it really was. It was going pitch for pitch, at bat for at bat. It was obviously there was a natural anxiousness in that game just to be able to execute and get it done. I think you're at a point in the season now where guys understand where we're at as a team and what we need to do to accomplish certain things. And sometimes the reality of execution staring right in front of you is real, right? Like we talk about the process a lot. We talk about, the preparation, but, once you get into the nitty gritty of it on a Saturday in the fifth or sixth inning where it's tight and, it's a 1-run game or a tie game at that time, we as close to a must win as you possibly can have. Right. And I think the guys just kind of used that and kicked it into another gear, and we really just went off. Sonny had 5 hits, Breck had 4 hits, Hunter Keene had 3 hits. I mean, we had multiple guys up and down the order that just executed and did a great job, and kind of took that momentum into the beginning part of the game on Sunday. Came out real hot from the start. I think we had 3 or 4 2-strike hits in a row. We're very, very clutch. The bullpen was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome on Sunday. I know DQ may not have had his best stuff. He said he felt great. He just didn't look like he did. Then going to Millie and Costello and obviously finishing it off with Trey, bringing him in a critical situation in the 8th to get a couple of strikeouts. And Brooks Simpson was
Brooksy.
He was the story of Sunday on his birthday as well, by the way.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
5
Happy
for
birthday
5.
to yourself, right?
Yeah. 5 for 5, 2 home runs. Keane looked at me in the 9th and was like, "Jeez, I think he's the only guy I've ever played with that's played well on his birthday." I don't think I made contact on my birthday. It was a really cool moment for him. A kid that he started out doing a chart all year. Started out not even traveling with us for a weekend. I think the first weekend he didn't travel to Winthrop. Came in the office, had a great conversation with him, and it's like, hey, what do I need to do to get on the field? Forget about the travel roster. And we talked. We were very honest and upfront about some things, and we continue to get better and continue to improve. And then when there's a situation with, personnel wise where, DP gets hurt and right, and he's not able to throw and play the field. So he moves to DH. You've got options, and you look and you see what guys do in practice and how they perform. And Brooks has done nothing but improve every single day, as an outfielder. And I think he's got a chance to be a pretty special hitter. And hopefully adding to that long list of guys that have played as freshmen have just continued to improve and be real special players. So proud of him. Done awesome.
I remember that weekend when you got the starting right, you put some other guys in. It was something about the way he approached. And I remember at the end of that first game saying, I bet he's back out there tomorrow. I bet AG liked what he saw, because you could kind of see it. And then he built on it the next day, and he's just been go ever since. And you've got a lot of freshmen that are doing it. Alex is just getting better. I love watching the way he handled. It's underrated to me, just watching from the broadcast, how he really has control. He's comfortable handling a pitching staff and getting the calls and everything. He just seems very relaxed for a young guy behind.
Yeah, he's done great,
doesn't he?
He's done a great job. He's done awesome. He can really throw, and we've got a bunch of guys that Eli Hudgens and Noah Toole, like those guys are only sophomores.
Yeah.
As crazy as it sounds, it may seem like
crazy.
They're upperclassmen because of how much they've penciled those guys in the lineup every single day from the moment they've stepped on campus. But yeah, I mean, I'm really proud of the way these young guys have come in and executed in critical situations. We've said it before, right? Like the only way you're going to get experience is by getting experience.
Got to play.
You got to throw them in the fire. You got to throw them in the deep end, and they got to swim, and they've got to be able to get out of it and learn and grow and fail. Adversity is great if you use it the right way. It sucks in the moment. Failing sucks in the moment. I'm probably preaching to the choir. I wish I could probably, go back in a time machine and grab probably from the age of, 11 to 21 AG, and hopefully he could be listening to what I'm saying. And
right.
As my parents listen to this, I'm sure they'll smirk and laugh a little bit.
We tried to tell you, son. Yeah.
I got it just too late, right? But able to use those lessons now as a coach and understand that you're going to fail. Adversity is going to happen, especially on the field and between the white lines. This is a hard game, and it takes the special ones can understand that early on. They understand this is a game of failure, and I think we've got a lot of guys on our team that understand that. In regards to just being able to mentally push through the tough moments, because this game will eat you alive if you don't understand going into it. Look, this is a 70% failure rate as a hitter.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So the expectations, if your expectation is you're going to get hit every time up, like you are going to torture yourself.
That's right.
And our young guys have done a really nice job of really being present, and try to take as many positive things as they can, regardless of what happens, right? So, as good as Brooksy was on that Sunday, he still had a base running mistake. He got picked off in a bunt situation where he wasn't going anywhere. So I think that's he wasn't real happy with himself in that situation, right? But again, that should never happen to him for as long as he's played. But he's got experience now that he can be able to lean onto and understand that, I can't take my secondary too early on him in a situation where I'm not going anywhere. We're bunting. This guy's got a couple of really good inside moves. I got to hold my ground, make sure the ball comes out of his hand, make sure he commits to the plate. Never happen again.
I think two things happened this year. It shows the pulse that you have on this team, AG. You had to make a change. You saw a couple of guys struggling in rotation. You had that tough conversation. They've both done well, especially Corey, what he has done. My goodness, coming out of the pen. So now your rotation is now more solid and those guys have adapted the roles. And then you got more involved in the offense, right? You say this isn't. You said it here on this during our interviews. You didn't like some of the approaches. We have to do something there. And now you see the numbers that this team's starting to produce more consistently. It was a record-setting week, runs and hits this past week. You go back to the Davidson game. So things like that, and you've got this team now, I think, heading in the right direction to be extremely competitive once that tournament rolls around. I think, why not, right? Why not?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think we said it to the guys the other day. CB and I were talking about it. We're a dangerous team.
No question. Yeah.
And part of it is a little bit of the mystery of what are we going to get? And I think it was kind of early on in the conference season. Are we going to come out here and execute and play our game, or are we going to do a lot of dumb, what, and it's going to show up? And over the last couple of weeks, I feel really good about what we're going to get with our team. We've been in pretty much every conference game. I don't think there's been a game really where it's really gotten out of hand. In regards to where we just gotten flat out smoked.
Yeah, right.
We've had an opportunity to win every single game. And there were some that, look, at the end of the day, as a coach, you've got to make certain decisions that are going to affect the group, but may affect individuals. I don't even want to necessarily say negatively, because it's all about perspective and how they handle it. But you're going to hurt some guys' feelings, or guys are going to take things a certain way, and you've got to be able to message those things properly, so that they understand that this is about the team, and you've got to be able to have a pulse of what the team needs in the moment, right? So, to the credit of our guys, they've handled any type of personnel decisions the right way. We've got great kids on our team that are awesome teammates, and are bought into our team and our culture and what we're trying to accomplish, and they understand that they're a big part of it. But you got to be able to make tough decisions that in the moment are gonna frustrate guys, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Andrew Steinhaus and Corey Costello, being frustrated because they're losing, they lose their starting jobs.
Sure.
100%. But the way they've responded and understood, and
That's all you need to know.
They understand the decision that we've got to make, and they just want to win and be ready for their opportunity when their name is called. So, yeah, it's part of it, man. You got to be able to have a feel of what's going on, and I think these guys have responded well to those adjustments and changes.
Teddy on our professional door text line asked, can you ask Coach when he goes to the ballpark, does he get a vibe for who's going to have a big day, either offensively or on the mound, or is it just something that he's glad to be surprised by if somebody steps up? Kind of like what you just kind of said, right? You kind of a mystery. You don't really know. Do you feel that? You've done this long enough. That's a good question, Teddy. Like, you go, you know what? He's been taking really good cuts. He had I think we can see this today. I like this matchup. Or you sometimes just look around like you were saying with Nace Brooks, you're going, what's going on right now, right?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes you've got those feelings and they work. Sometimes you have those feelings and you're like, yeah, I was completely off on that.
Yeah.
And then there are guys that you're like, you know, there might be certain matchups or certain situations that you're just like, man, I don't like. I don't think he's going to have a great day today.
Right.
But yeah, for sure. Sometimes you trick guys. Guys may be struggling. You just look at them and go, hey, man, you're my guy today. You're my pick to click. I think you're going to have a great day today. Meanwhile, you're like, you couldn't hit water if you fell into the ocean.
Over for golden sombrero. Yeah.
But, you know, or just the day before, they don't look right and they're struggling, but you try to mentally trick them into feeling good. Did I think Brooks would go 5 for 5 with 2 home runs and however many RBIs? No, I did not. I don't think you go in any game thinking that. There are certain guys that you go in that you feel like are going to take really good at bats. Like when Brecken Nace has like a 3-pitch strikeout, which he's had a few times this year.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
I know. Yeah. It happened our last weekend. I was like, we broadcast like, you don't see that from Brecken Nace.
Brett, what?
Yeah.
You look at me and you're just like, Brett,
you
okay? That's kind of the answer or question I get, like, hey man, you good? Yeah. Okay. Just making sure. Cause like, I never seen you do
well,
that.
now how exciting is it? Yeah. I know, right? It doesn't happen to you. What are you doing? Come on. Fun time now, right? Because we finished up graduation and then it's all baseball for the stretch run. It starts in Charlottesville this weekend. I think that's a terrific way to get back into the flow on a Sunday, get a couple of games in, and then you start looking ahead, man. This is how much excited are you and your staff to know that these guys now can just be baseball players for the next month, right? Just baseball players.
Yeah, fired up. We're about to do hitting groups this morning. 10:30. We'll have four different groups come out. We'll start practice. We'll do some individual defense, and then we'll do a little short live pitcher versus hitter. Then they'll have a little lift today. So yeah, I mean they'll be to be able to do stuff in the morning, knock some stuff out, and have it all just centered around baseball and be focused. And being around each other, doing stuff like we'll do stuff in the morning and let them go out and spend time with each other, in the afternoon and at night. This is like my favorite time of the year in Radford.
Yeah.
And in general, I think in the state, as I'm going to get a little, how you want to say it, soft if you want to say, but the weather at night is just gorgeous.
Yeah,
temperature.
Yeah.
The sun this time of the year, late spring, early summer, it's not too hot.
Nope.
Guys can hang out, spend time, be outside with each other, do all the things that a team should be doing. And Friday night we had a little bit of a come to Jesus meeting. We had a very honest conversation about being a good team versus being a great team and the things that we need to do. And I just quickly reminded them that this is the last time this team will ever be together.
Right.
It really will. Like the last game that we play, the last bus ride The last night that you guys all hang out there, that'll be the last time that this team will ever be in the same room.
Right.
Ever again for the rest of your life. I don't care. I'm talking to every single guy. Doesn't matter. So cherish the moments that you have with each other, right? And that's what we're going to try to do for these last, hopefully 2 months, to be quite frank with you.
Agreed. And feels like they're going to embrace that even more considering what they've been up against all year long after what happened. So, yeah, I think that's a great point. And those guys they seem to have a very keen appreciation for the opportunity they have. They really do.
Yeah, they do. We've got great kids. Very blessed with the fact that we have some show up every day, work hard, they care about each other. And they're tough. They're a tough, resilient group. They're working a lot this year. They're working a lot, and just having the opportunity to be able to go play a team this weekend. It's, I think they're still ranked. Yeah, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, they might
try
be.
Try to stay as present as I possibly can, whether it be with who we're playing and what we're doing. Like someone asked the other day, like, "Hey, the standings." I said,
I don't know. I know.
I'll be honest, I really don't know. I've talked to coaches before, like some of my closest friends. And my coach, one of my good buddies is the head coach at FIU, Rich Witten. He's like, "Where are you guys at?" I said, "Dude, I have no idea."
Let me look it up right now while we're talking.
I said, "I don't know." I said, "All I know is that we need to win. We just need to win each day."
That's right. Right.
It can be coach speak, but it's really the truth. So, playing UV on Sunday is going to be a great opportunity.
Absolutely.
For us to get better and get back on the road. I think having the opportunity to be in an ACC school on the road, just continue to prepare us for the tournament. It's going to be good.
100%. Well, all right, brother. I'll see you in the morning at the courting ceremony. If I don't see you before.
See you in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I appreciate you as always. Have a good day with the guys. I know
Thanks,
you will.
Thanks, buddy.
All
Appreciate it.
Be good. Thanks, man. Good stuff. There you go. Alex Guerra, head baseball coach at Radford. Great stuff from him, as always. This team is coming along, folks. It's going to be fun down the stretch here. We've got them next weekend on the broadcasts. UNC Asheville next weekend. So come out to the ballpark. You're losing opportunities. You got 3 more opportunities. So come out to the ballpark and hang out with us. He's talking about these evenings that we have in the NRV. There's nothing when you're at that ballpark on a Friday evening and the weather's just right. Whew. Oh, I'm sorry, Wayne. I didn't see your question. Well, we'll hold that over. Hold that question over for next week, if you would. Just hold that question over. And we'll proceed next week. Dudes are a lot of fun. Pulling like hell for them. I hope they can continue to build. And they get through exams, they're done, and graduation, then you start being baseball players. Softball teams, Tech, Radford. Now just starting to be softball players, right? Going into your tournaments, it takes a lot off the plate. It really, really does. Dwight Vick going to join us here at 8:00. Great guests, man. These guests, just Lord, how good are these guests? Let's take the time just to get me David Smith. I mean, how many times I've tried to tell you. I'm so glad now people are starting to understand how good he is. Andy Bitter. And Alex, just total complete access. Any question? There's nothing I feel like I can't ask Alex about his team. I think he kind of answered, okay, good. And then, of course, Dwight Vick. Come on. Tomorrow, Will Stewart, he's in his new house finally. He's got his new setup. So he'll be back on with us tomorrow. Get his take on the whole Wib Babcock situation. And Mike Ashley, open mic, and I can't remember. I have no idea where Jen is. I think this is Holly weekend, and the next weekend is the Vegas excursion. Oh, yeah. I think. Pretty sure that's how that works. If I'm not mistaken. Trying to see if there's anything here. Yeah. Oh, there it is. There's the standing ovation. So, yeah, Vic posted that. So, Vrabel gets announced. Yeah, these people at the season ticket holders, you can't make this up. Can I show you this? Let me show you this. This is Vrabel. Can y'all see that? Being introduced at the season ticket holders, and watch, they're going to get up and applaud him like he is just some kind of major victim here. See right here? Look at that. Look at that. A standing ovation. That blows my mind. Not that, I'm not sitting here saying that. Again, it's not a moral judgment, but boy, to give him that kind of response, really? And here are all the people. Oh, it's just private life. Who cares? What's it matter? What somebody just said on here, what did he destroy? His family? Every one of these responses to that post are saying that it's okay. It's incredible. People are saying, what did he do? Good for these fans. It has nothing to do with them or anything else. He made his peace. He's her leader. What the? Brainwashed human beings. It's just a thing. Wow. Makes me hope the Patriots lose every game next year. Those are real responses. Not one negative response. It's just okay, man. It's just okay. So everybody go out and just cheat on your spouses, lie to your family for multiple years. You're fine. It's okay. No responsibility. And this is just another example of what is going on with the reaction to crime, it's just okay. No accountability. How about that? How about people sitting there, standing ovation, and people like, hey, leave him alone. Leave him alone. He made his statement. This is where we are. I don't know why I'm surprised. This is where we are today. This is okay. This is okay. This is where we are. Wow. Okay. Go Patriots. I think it was Prometheus that said, it's winning. If he hadn't won, it's a good point. If they were 5-12 last year, they wouldn't be saying all that. Yeah, well, boys will be boys. That's what's coming across. You're right. Okay. Yay, lack of everything. But hey, There you go. There you go. Oh, let's see here. Where's Dwight? I can hear background things. I'm going to send you a different invite, Dwight. Let me send you a new invite if you can hear me. Yeah, we've had some issues today. I don't know if it's on me. You know, we got AG's fixed. Let me send him another invite. Some days it's like that. You know, I don't make the rules here. I just respond when things start breaking down. All right, I sent him another invite. Let me let him know. Okay. Okay. Can't wait to see Dwight's fit match, hat to shirt. Oh yeah, he styles, man. He looks great every time. It looks like maybe some kind of a dark green outfit today. He had tech gear on last week. Yeah, he did. He sure did. All right, let's try this again with the second invite. Yeah, that looks better. Hey, what's going on, DV?
What's going on, boss? How you doing?
Good, man. Good to see you. Good to see you. It is green. People saying, I can't wait to see what Dwight's got on today. Yeah, he's got the green, got the DC hat on. Nice.
Yeah, representing the DMV. Yeah, man. How's it going this morning?
Well, we're hanging in there, man. A lot going on. Of course, hey, shortly after we talked last week, we found out Whit Babcock was gone as the AD.
Yeah. You know, that was I mean, there were rumors and murmurs about that being the case. You know, during the hiring of Franklin. Even prior, I think you and I spoke about it, just about the changes, but a new regime is among us, you know, Virginia Tech. You know, there'll be a new university president and there'll be a new AD, but, you know, change is inevitable.
What do you feel like, I guess, looking back at it? I mean, I'm sorry, but his legacy kind of has to be, you know, 0 for 2 on football coaches ultimately, right? And that's what led to this maybe premature stepping aside as the AD.
I know Whit. I've been around Whit. I've talked to him. I think he's a very intelligent man. I think when you look at football, it's one of those situations where, you know, in both hires, I went on a record and I liked, especially the prior one. I just think sometimes it's one of those things, man, where it doesn't matter how smart or business savvy you are, when you look at football, it is the lifeline, the bloodline, the connector for Virginia Tech, right? It is, you know, Virginia Tech, it's synonymous with football. So it's one of those jobs you have to get right. In which legacy, he did a great job with the other sports, maybe even some of the non-revenue sports, you know. It's just one of those things where I think I think what really left a bad taste in people's mouth was when he came out and didn't get rid of Fuente when he held that press conference. And he came back and he talked about, I've talked to other people and a lot of people, and they talk about how his system works. He's, you know, I'm paraphrasing, and he really knows what he's doing. And then they came back and had another losing season. It's almost like he stood on business and doubled down on Fuente. And that really, really put a bad taste in fans' mouth, so to speak. And then Pride came in, and then it was like, I knew who Pride was, and he had the credentials as a coordinator, but he had never been a head coach. And then at that time, Virginia Tech probably needed someone like Franklin. He did come out and say that we had to get more money, but it was one of those things where he came out and did that after mishandling Fuente, right? So people are going to talk about, well, how are you going to come and say we need to give you more money and give you money when this program is in shambles, right? You had the article come out about the bacon and Sports Illustrated. You had Caleb Farley, who declared for the draft and set out the COVID season and said that, this is a mess. And he had an interview saying, we don't know what's going on. They're not handling. There were too many issues that happened with the football program we joked about, like the situation with the skydiver, but on a serious note, like there were a lot of skydiving moments around the football program when Witt was charged, where it was like, what just happened? And again, some of this stuff is not his fault, but when you're the head guy, people want answers. Like, it wasn't Witt's fault that Fuente's best friend and the defensive coordinator was having an inappropriate sexual relationship with a recruit's mother. And that was the ones we found out about, right? So,
right.
And was a blackout in the football program. So when you're talking about a program that for the last handful of years has been underachieving, and you had scandals and you had mishaps and mismanaged personnel and blown leads and things like that, it's just not a good look, because it's almost like, what kind of show are we running here, right? It took us kind of hitting a rock bottom state for him to really get Franklin, but Franklin went on record and saying Witt was instrumental along with Bud Foster in getting him here. So I do think he knows what he's doing. I know fans are very passionate. I've been on some Twitter spaces where I've heard some fans say some really egregious things about him, because I don't agree with that kind of talk, but I understand the frustration when you talk about the money spent, whether it was from donors or fans traveling to games, to see an inept program, to see a program that should have been better. It's tough to replace a legend, but there were other programs that kind of were surpassing us that had less money, less resources, and they were making better hires. There were coaches that wanted to come here. You and I both know a lot of those coaches, or know of them, and they weren't even given an interview. And speaking of that, another situation was the mishandling of Shane Beamer. At worst case scenario, Shane's got to be interviewed, right? You got to reach out to Shane. And
they hired Pryor. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, again, I don't know if Shane's here. I mean, I'm biased a little bit because he's my teammate. He's my guy. I actually posted an old video of him on my podcast last night, him and Frank Beamer. But the truth of the matter is, we don't know how it would have gone. But Shane probably would have made a little bit more sense at that time, at least getting an interview, right? And I think those things continue to add up. If Pryor wins some of those close ball games, those one-score games, and we have 8 wins, maybe it's a different story. But I still respect what he did for the other sports, and I respect what he did trying to get Virginia Tech on the right track. It just didn't happen when it came to football. And then if you want to throw some salt on the wounds for the cynics and naysayers, then you look at Kenny Brooks not being retained, even though he left. You look at some of the other situations. Right now people are criticizing Mike Young. They had that one shining moment, no pun intended, with the NCAA tournament, and they won the ACC tournament. But overall, the athletic department is doing well, but football has to be better.
And that's why, for me, and he doesn't care, he's a very rich man, but I think he failed because he failed a football school following the greatest coach they're ever going to have that built this program, right? He could not keep that going. So he was tasked by being that guy, and it didn't work out. So I know other hires worked out okay, most didn't. But when you fail at that main thing you're brought in to keep viable, and you don't do it, you didn't work. And that's my opinion on it. And the emeritus thing is what it is. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward, because right now James Franklin's in charge. And a new AD is not going to take that away from James Franklin. So that's what's going to be very interesting to me, to see who comes in that role and understands that. So,
well, I mean, we've seen it can work. It can work where the head coach is the guy. I know Beamer allowed people around him to do their jobs. He was a little. He was a little bit a different style of CEO. He would step in and say stuff, but he had John Boleyn and he had other guys. He came in, and Dave Brain was the guy Then Dave Brain left and went to Georgia Tech, and then Jim Weaver came in, ironically a Penn State guy, a Florida guy, and did a phenomenal job. Got us into the ACC and also improved facilities. He came in, I was there when all that changeover happened, and Jim Weaver called us out as a football program and said, you guys are not ready to win a national championship. The facilities have to get better. This isn't a meeting to address the team. I remember we were in the field house and he said this, but that was in 97. And a few years after that, right after I left, they played for a national championship. So accountability, there's that word I always say on your show, has to be in the forefront and permeate throughout your football program, throughout your athletic department. When you talk about the amount of money, not just Virginia Tech, but most universities at the Power 4 level have come through their program, decisions have to be precise. If any feedback I would give to any AD on the college level is when you come into a new place, a culture where you've not been a part of, you need to consult with people who know about the program, not people in the building, but sometimes, like for example, Whit Babcock had a meeting with myself and several former players after the Fuente firing because, former players are very outspoken, whether on Twitter or on other platforms. They are very, because, we helped build this program, and respectfully, fans can say what they want. I say this all the time. A lot of you guys, especially now, not the fans that's been around for a long time, the new age fans have no idea what Virginia Tech football is supposed to look like. So when you're an outsider and you come in, you start making all these changes, you better make sure, I'm a movie guy. You look at Casino. What was the downfall of the movie Casino with Robert De Niro and Jim Pesci? Their egos. Who really calls the shot? Who's in charge? And, a friendship since childhood went left because of egos and how they mismanaged the money and the decisions being made and skimming off the top and lying about this. And then, Pesci messed with Ginger, Robert De Niro's wife. So I'm just saying, like, I know that's a movie, but art imitates life. In a lot of ways, there was a lot of mismanagement going on during that era here recently with Virginia Tech football. And to be frank, it's embarrassing. Franklin being the guy right now that's running the show, I've gone on record many times. I'm rooting for him, no different from I rooted for the previous head coaches. I just want to see wins. I want to see a brand that's relevant. I want to see competency on Saturdays and Thursdays or Fridays if they play. I want to see a program that has direction. And I want to see, I don't really care about access. Some of the questions being asked during media day or post games are corny anyway. Like, how did the kids eat? Were they locked in during pregame meal? Like, I don't care if they had spaghetti or Cheerios. Did you catch a touchdown pass? So the truth of the matter is that, if Franklin is running things right now because we don't really have an AD, we really won't see the benefit or consequence of that until this fall. The one thing I love about football season is all the talk, all the assumptions, all the guessing, all the anticipation stops, and we get to see what kind of product is really in Blacksburg. That's what I can't wait to see. And we're in May. I know we're a ways away, but we're going to blink, and it's going to be August and September. And that's what we'll know about what kind of leader Franklin is and how this is going to be managed and who the AD is going to be. One of the things I've learned as a businessman myself is it's okay to mimic and steal ideas or processes from successful programs. If I'm Virginia Tech and the administration looking for that AD, I'm looking at successful programs. I'm looking at JMU, their AD. They've been able to really sustain, and it's just being a mid-major, they've been able to really ascend in the right direction. Or look at the AD from the SEC that knows that knows how to really get people in the seats and make sure that your program is going the right way. You are in no position to take a chance on some guy. I did hear your segments yesterday when I've heard, my guy Jim Pine is being in consideration, and he's a legend to me. I mean, he's before me. I came in as he left, and he is one of the best linemen in Virginia Tech history. He played pro ball.
Yeah.
I don't know how he would do as an AD, but I do know when he played, he was no nonsense. There's a story I heard about that was going around one time when he was playing. There was a scout teamer that was going a little bit extra hard, and Jim Pine wasn't in the mood. He kept warning him, and then he finally got mad and ripped the guy's face mask off with his hand. So, I mean, that's not Thanos, but at the same time, you think about anybody that's played JV varsity football, you think about ripping the face mask off. That is not easy. I didn't see it. I was in high school, but it was one of those stories where you heard about when you got to Tech as a freshman about how great Jim Pond, how strong he was. And, he just was an animal. But again, I'm praying they make the right decision because leadership is one of those things we can't really guess on. We got to get that
That's
right.
right. That's a great point. You can't just throw a dart, can you? You can't just, okay, we're going to get him now. Yeah, I'm with you. I think a successful football AD is something that's going to be warranted here. And, Matt Rohn at JMU fits the bill perfectly. And I mentioned the guy at Coastal. I don't know much about him, but there'll be a lot of good candidates. We know that. And I think James Franklin's going to have a huge say on who actually is going to be interviewed, be perfectly honest with you, right? Because that's what Andy Bitter believes. And I think that's going to be the way it's going to play out at that position anyway. So,
well, Franklin's got to work with him or her. So, I mean, they got to be able to work together. I mean, the AD and the head coach, even on the high school level, they have to have a relationship. They have to be able to make tough decisions. He's got to be able, Franklin, that is, to be able to go in his or her office if the AD's there and say, hey, look, I need this. I need you to go tell the media and the fans and our donors, we need this. We got to get this. I want to, hey, you know what? The last 3 years, we won 9 or more games, 10 games. We played for an ACC championship. I want stadium expansion. We need more seats. 66,000 is good. Let's get up to 80,000. That's the kind of stuff I don't know Franklin, but I know just in seeing him and the way he moves, he is ambitious and not afraid to challenge a program. So that's the kind of AD you need. And you also need an AD that can say, hey, who you talking to? You go coach. I'm going to get this done. I'll get back to you. See, again, I know that makes some of y'all uncomfortable the way I just did that. But business is not just say, yes, sensei. Yes, sensei. Yes,
exactly.
It can't be that. It's got to be
that.
Hey, get out my office. It's got to be some. Am I confrontational? No. Am I unprofessional? No. But I am not afraid to go back and forth. I've been in ballrooms. I've been in business rooms, conference rooms. I've been on business calls, conference calls. You got to sometimes say, hold on. I agree with you on that, but we just said you got to have that kind of interaction. It can't be, Cobra Kai. It can't be yes and say. Yeah, it can't be that. It can't. If we're doing that, then we've seen the problems with that when you again get into the thing about what I said to you last year after the Proud firing about how it was mismanaged and egos and too many people got in the kitchen when we already had one cook designated.
Well, it's funny you say that because, boy, it was a different time then. But Jim Weaver, when this was the first time the radio show came around in the mid-2000s, was on the show every week. I mean, he had a standing appointment. And he mentioned just what you said. He goes, do we always get along? He goes, hell no. He said, Frank and I you have no idea some of the arguments we get into behind the scenes and talked about. He goes, but you know what? At the end of the day, nobody takes it personally, but you have to be able to stand your ground. And you're going to work better with that person going forward because you've been able to be honest with it and talk about how you really feel about what somebody else is saying. And I thought that was very interesting. And it's just what you said just now. And this is going back to Jim Weaver as he was continuing to help build Tech into the success that they were. He understood that. Yeah, you don't just sit there and just nod and go along with things if you think it's going to be wrong. We have a vision here. We have a directive. We can't get there if we go your way. I'll give a little, you give a little. That's what life's supposed to be like, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I agree. I saw it. It's funny when I watch your show, even when I'm not on, I watch or I have it on in my office. and I'll see and hear when Almation's on. And Almation, I remember my red shirt year, my first year at Tech. I've talked openly about the personalities we had on that coaching staff. You talk about Stein Spring, excuse me, J.B. Grimes, Billy Height, Bud Foster was the linebackers coach. Sharpless was also on the defensive staff, who later became a head coach at Rutgers, or maybe a coordinator, I think. And then you had Almation, and I remember Gary Tranquil, who came from the NFL to be the OC at Virginia Tech. And I remember this, and I don't know if Almation does, but I remember as a 17/18-year-old seeing Almation and Gary Tranquil, both defensive offensive coordinators, going at it in the field, where Beamer cut practice short. They started going at it because it was about whether drill we were going team, which is 1-on-1s and 2s against 2s, and they got into it, and it was confrontational. When you look at successful programs, there's some pushback, there's some some discussion, and then you get into a rhythm. It's just like when fans say, "Oh my God," you talked about this one time when that Maryland coach got in that girl's face and was coaching her up.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I said, see, this shows you how soft some of y'all have gotten, or y'all haven't been in a locker room or been around intense coaching, because that used to be the norm.
Absolutely.
That used to be the norm. And I think, again, when I look at the previous years with Virginia Tech, I don't know, man. It was like going to Cold Stone and getting some ice cream. It was everything was sweet. It was like, yeah, we just didn't execute, but we just got to come back and keep fighting. And it was just like, when I look at that Maryland coach, I talk about that story with Gary Tranquil, the former Virginia Tech coordinator, and Almation, it was intensity, and there was accountability, and there was pushback. And I think Beamer was great at managing all those egos. I think Franklin has to be the same way, but in his own way. I've heard from people that have been at practices saying that there's a lot more accountability and structure and intensity around practice. Again, remember that old Dawn commercial, raise your hand if you're sure? That, not Dawn, but that deodorant commercial.
Yeah, raise your hand, raise your hand. Yeah.
I'm sure that I believe it. I just want to see the results on Saturday. So we'll see what happens, man. I'm hoping Virginia Tech gets it right. I'm hoping they get the right person in that new hot seat. And I'm hoping that they really understand, and this is the key point, how it should look in Blacksburg. How it should, when I talk about outsiders or guys or women that coming into these positions, you got to understand, like, being an AD at Virginia Tech is different from being an AD at the University of Miami.
That's right.
Being
That's
an AD,
great. Yeah.
Being an AD at Norfolk State is different from being an AD at the University of William & Mary. And that's what I mean about culture. I think when I look back at these mishaps, these years of frustration and cluelessness, it was because we had too many people that didn't really know how it's supposed to be in Southwest Virginia. Remember, I'm on my movie references again. In Casino, when the sheriff went to go visit Robert De Niro in his office, and he said, "You people just don't understand. You're visitors in our town."
That's right. That's right.
Because his nephew had gotten fired. He wanted De Niro to give him his job back. And De Niro was like, "No, I can't have that." And he looked at him and he said, "You're just visitors." And let me tell you something. If you think about it respectfully, all these people walking around the Merriman Center are visitors.
Correct.
They're not, again, I want them to feel at home. I want them to understand. But when you come to Southwest Virginia, you take over a program, you want to make it your home. But the way the new age college game goes with, the turnover and the movement, not just from players, but coaches, we're not going to see an era again where Foster and Steinspring and Beamer and all those guys stay 30 years. So if we have Franklin, I hope we have him for several years to come. But I don't know that. If he starts like I think he will he be here for 20 years? I hope he does, if he's winning. But a lot of these people are going to be moving back and forth. So like the reference I made about Casino, you're a visitor. So we welcome you to our university. Help us prove that we were right by showing hospitality and making sure that our university is being taken care of.
No, I think it's a great point. And that you think about that you're right. These are people that are coming here just passing through, that Virginia Tech has built itself to the point to where it's an opportunity for them. So they want to be a part of it, right? Not necessarily Tech is, saying you specifically or who we want. You're coming here because of what we are. So that's a great way to look at it too. It really
Well,
is.
here's the thing, you can't, but here's the thing, Rick, and to everybody in the chat and to everybody listening or watching, you can't treat the program like you're a visitor. It's just like if I come to, hey, Vic, thanks for staying, man. I'm glad you're in town, Vic. Here's your guest room. Make yourself at home. It's a phrase we often use, right? Well, if I make myself at home, I got to make sure I clean the bathroom, clean them up after myself, make sure I make my bed. Again, some of your best stays at a hotel are great because it feels like home. But the reciprocation has to be, I'm going to make sure I take care of this place like it's my home. When I watched the Fuente era, I felt like those guys were visiting and they treated it like visitors.
Yes.
You never saw any commercials with Fuente and his staff. You never saw any billboards. There was no radio show appearances. I think they did the Sons of Saturday podcast, but there was never any connection with the community. Nope. What made, again, this is Southwest Virginia. I'm not talking about Charlottesville. I'm not talking about Atlanta with Georgia Tech. With Southwest Virginia, you have to make yourself at home and treat it like it's your home, which is why you always hear recruits. I just watched an interview with Kobe from 247. He interviewed a player that just committed. He said, man, Texas is a special place. It felt like home. So one reason I played 20-something odd years ago, Virginia Tech for 5 to 6 years actually, was my home. And when I go back, it feels like home, and I treat it like my home. Now, you got some people, you go in their home, they ain't cleaned up in weeks. They got trash everywhere. It looks like a frat house. Those people need to be evicted from the home, a.k.a. fired from the home. I hope y'all get my analogies this morning.
No, good. It's good. Speaking of which, before we go, speaking of movies, the program, right? I've been wanting to ask you, it always bugs me. The final play, the scramble.
Yeah.
Quarterback. He drops the ball. His arm was going forward. That was the tuck rule. Before the tuck rule, it bounces back up, and I think Jefferson's the one who caught the touchdown. Shouldn't that have been an incomplete pass?
Yeah, I was a younger kid back then. I loved that movie. Then I love that movie now. I think the best ending, it should have been, but Hollywood wasn't going to let that happen. The best ending for a movie, and it hurts me every time, is Friday Night Lights. Friday Night Lights, when they get stopped on the goal line, and and the other team in red wins the game, whatever. I remember when I first saw that, I felt like I had just lost the state championship. I sat and I was like, oh, he didn't get in? And that's the reality of sports. Remember the Titans, all-time classic for a lot of people. I live in Northern Virginia with people that actually won that team. There's a YouTube video that goes around, you can see it, where it tells you how that movie was really stretched thin and so many lives. They did not win a state championship on a double reverse pad, whatever they did. That is not how it happened, and that's not realistic. In a state championship game, you might win like Boise State beat Oklahoma with the Statue of Liberty, with the fake, and then all of that. That can happen, but they were at the 15 or the 12-yard line. But to win and go the length of the field on a double reverse, it's not, so the program, remember the Titans, Hoosiers, it's sometimes it can get a little bit far-fetched, but again, that's why it's entertainment. But I think sometimes disappointment is also reality, and why it could be a great ending, because sometimes you lose, but you win on the long term, because in Friday Night changing the depth chart, and then all of a sudden they show as he's walking out, they won the chip the following year. So, you learn from your wins and you learn from your losses.
Exactly. Well, great stuff as always, brother. I hope you and the fam have a terrific weekend, and you and I are going to have an announcement here soon. We're going to make together.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Great season.
All right, brother. Take care, man. Have a great weekend. Stay safe.
You too. Thank you.
There you go. Dwight Vick joined us. Good stuff. Always bothered me at the end of the program. Sorry. It just always bothered me. Sorry. It just did. Drops the ball. If it had been reviewed, that's coming back. Game over. Game over. And he was mentioning, Friday Night Lights. That's kind of the way, if you go further back, North Dallas 40, showing my age a little bit, they're playing in the rain. Mac Davis, the country singer, was really good in that movie. I think it was Mac Davis and Nick Nolte. Anyway, he's rolling around. It's in the rain, and he catches a touchdown, and they're like, all right, overtime coming up. Well, they go to kick the extra point. Holder drops the ball. It's blocked. They lose. They're out of the playoffs. Kind of very, very similar. Very similar. All right, good stuff today. Great guest, as I mentioned earlier. Thanks so much to David Smith, Andy Bitter, Alex Square, Dwight Vick. Finally, Friday show tomorrow. Hang out with us. We got Will Stewart and his new setup at his new home. Looking forward to that. Mike Ashley, open mic, and Jen the Gamecock Girl down in Orlando. That's right, Thunder. That's exactly right. This is where usually casino references. Thanks to all of our sponsors. We'll see you tomorrow. Remember, subscribe, like, and share the channel, and we'll see you on the Finally Friday edition.